Welcome back to Chris and Retro. And tonight's video, I'm going to talk about something that I was inspired actually by NF. He's got a new song called Hope out, and I watched a reaction to that tonight. And I'm telling you, lyrics on that are super powerful. I would highly recommend you watch it. Pay close attention to it. There's a lot of theatrics in it that really bring out the lyrics and pretty powerfully. So even if you don't like the style, the lyrics are powerful. I appreciated his journey and the struggle that we have, with our old self and where we're trying to head and the conflict with, it was really good, and I would highly recommend it. There's one line in that song actually that inspired this video tonight, and I've been kind of toying with the idea anyway, and I just feel like now's the time. So, um, you know, I'm probably gonna be picking on men more than anything, and the real macho ones too. So, us real tough guys, I'm gonna pick on us a little bit tonight. Um, how many times have you said, you're authentic? Okay. Or you're real. I'm keeping it real. There's a YouTube channel in the motorcycle club culture, Danny D'Lo. He says, always says he's keeping it 100, but he does it with this like gravelly grinding voice. And the guy is legit. I mean, he's got some stuff in his background that make him nobody to play with, but he's got to change that shtick because it doesn't sound as rugged as he thinks it is. But anyway, the point is that we present for ourselves this reality, like we're the real deal. We don't care. We're just going to be us, and we're going to be true to us, man. What anybody thinks, and I don't care what people think. And that's kind of the way we walk. And I think it causes us some problems. Um, I to the recovery community, that attitude is very prevalent early on, and I think a lot of it comes from insecurity. We know that people look at us in a certain way, so in order to insulate that, and we become real and we hold on to those things. I pick on the guys actually big time in the recovery community, because if you're a young guy and you've had a substance use issue, or if you were dealing at one point, I'm going to see you this exact same way in every group that we go to. You're going to have your flat brim on. You're going to get war story pissing matches with people around you, where you're going to make your story bigger than somebody else's. And, it's going to be the same thing because you're keeping it real. You're keeping it 100. Well, there's a place of humility there. There's a place where you understand that for you to be successful, the brand that you built with that approach is one that's not going to get you where you think you want to go, or where a life that you may not even know about yet that is so much better than what you've experienced. That attitude, it's just not going to get you anywhere. It's going to get you right where you are in a group meeting, talking about, this, that, and the other thing, trying to profess your next stage of sobriety or whatever it is that you're going to do. So, I'm going to poke some holes in that a little bit tonight, because I look at also professionally. So in the professional community, when you are trying to advance in your career, one of the things you're trying to do is demonstrate the elements of you that seems suitable for whatever role you eventually want to get into. So let's just say that you're trying to get promoted into some kind of assigned leadership role. Well, if you're in a current role that is not assigned leadership, you probably want to demonstrate some leadership skills along the way. So when something opens up in your company, or if promotions are being considered, you stand out, because you weren't just scrambling the fighter jets at the interview. You were preparing yourself all along the way to demonstrate that you were worth the investment. You were somebody that really made sense, and they could already see you in that role. So that professionally, you can see how that plays out. And I don't think it's a real stretch to understand that. So if I in that professional environment, if I say, well, I'm me and I don't care what anybody thinks, that's going to portray something that might not be all that promotable. It's fine for you to be you and don't care what anybody thinks, but enjoy the fruits of that. It's going to keep you right where you are, chances are, unless, depending how far you go with it. I mean, if keeping it real for you means you cause conflict every time you turn around and create an unsafe work environment, you may lose your job with that as well too. So I'm going to challenge that thought tonight, because in our personal lives, I think there's a balance. I believe that I'm a fairly authentic person. And I say fairly because I also I over evaluate myself, and I can see holes where I'm, I feel like imposter in some ways. But I really feel like, in a lot of, I try to keep everything super straight up on who I am. I mean, even if you look at like in the professional settings, I mean, I've been kind of frowned on a little bit, like in the LinkedIn worlds and stuff like that, I'm clean about who I am and what it's all about. And I talk about stuff out there that It's kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe he's talking about this stuff here. I do it. I couch it in the fact that it's coming from a place to say, look, I'm a higher performer than I've ever been in my life because I know what it feels like to come from homelessness through addiction and get myself back going, back 100% back in the career was at. I honestly don't know anybody that's done that. And it's not bragging, but I think it was done through some of the things I'm going to share with you tonight. Now, I do not find anything wrong with people actually keeping it 100 or actually being authentic or actually being real. I find those things to be very valuable. But let's be smart too. If we're in a situation, as I described in the professional setting, you're going to temper that with your professional objectives of improving your career. The same thing goes for somebody in recovery. Early on, it is not to your advantage to act like a drug dealer or somebody in active use if you want other people around you to advocate for you and help you get a life that doesn't require those things to be part of it. Do you see what I'm saying? I can't pull up to a racetrack in a car that's painted like a, grocery getter and expect anybody to take me seriously on the racetrack, no matter what it is that's underneath the hood of that car. They're still going to be like, oh my gosh, here we go. Now my performance may reveal otherwise, but if people are going to pour sponsorship into that car, they're not going to pour sponsorship into a car that pulls up looking like a grocery getter next to a car that's decked out, looks like they've already got sponsorship, which shows faith in that vehicle and that driver. You get the point. The same thing goes for recovery. So, we can stay true to ourselves, and we can realize that we're at a certain level of maturity in our recovery. And, it's not like I think it's disingenuous to completely flip the script in day one and say you're some new person. I can tell you, I have some weird hodgepodge of this professional that was there before, this mental health maniac that's always been there. And, the season that I had that was, in some of New York State's finest institutions. There are elements of me that's all that. And so I understand I can be authentic Chris and be the same Chris everywhere and not disrupt my progress and my trajectory because I'm me. And I'm pretty thankful about that. When we're going forward, we have to recognize we will need advocacy along the way. Now, the NF lyric that really struck out to me tonight that I was describing at the beginning here, there was a line in there that says, be something someone will take a chance on. Be something someone will take a chance on. That hit me. Really hit me hard. What do they mean by be something? Well, we're not being perfect. That's not expected. We don't even have to be full of faith, honestly. I mean, I think if you're full of faith, you've had a lot of experiences in the current season you're in to show that you can get through it. But I think a lot of times when we're going through new seasons or whatever else, we have very little faith, candidly. But we just have to have some faith to have enough energy to understand something beyond us is helping us along the way as well. But being full of faith is not really the objective. Being committed is important, but that vacillates based on all kinds of things and why you need support in the first place. I think a lot of times people look to us and they come alongside us because they see a positive trajectory. They see some changes in past behaviors that look like you might be moving in the right direction. They see people around you starting to look to you and say, look, hey, he's kind of doing what he's supposed to be doing. And not, so it starts with, is he staying out of trouble and staying clean? And then it starts looking like, wow, he's really trying to have some impact on those around him so they don't feel it too. That becomes a place where people want to sign up, sponsor, so to speak. And I'm not speaking of the AA or NA sponsorship for them. I'm just saying they want to sponsor your work. They want to come alongside. They want to help. They want to open opportunities. They want to share with you because they reasonably believe that you're somebody that's worth putting their reputation on the line for. Not everybody is a jerk. I mean, people generally will help you if some people will only help you if there's some selfish motivation. But even that, there's a good feeling about feeling like you helped somebody else out. And if you're a reasonable bet for people, you're going to get a lot of people that will advocate for you. Even if they don't necessarily believe in your journey, they'll advocate for you, maybe just out of pride alone, but they will because they see that you're a reasonable bet. One tactic that I used and I still use today, declare where you're headed. So I can remember professionally at one point in Johnson & Johnson, I had stated that I wanted to be in national accounts. I flat out said that's where I wanted to go. And within 4 years, I was in the 4 years from the time I stated it, I was in one of those roles because I syndicated it, I broadcast it, I declared it, I trained for it, I made sure everything was in line, and I got that job, and I did well at it. Same thing goes with recovery. I found the same thing. I will go forward. I would say stuff like that. I'd say I'm not drinking. I'm not going back. I would say I will go to any length to make this work. I would talk about work I was doing. I'd volunteer for things. I would write. Whatever it was. I made sure that I was vocal about it for a couple of reasons. For me, being an anonymous actually is a fertile breeding ground for relapse for me. Anytime I'm anonymous, I'm in trouble. I could be in trouble. So I try not to do that as very little as possible. But at the same time, I found advocacy because I've said on the show before about making promises and keeping promises. Well, the key part of that is not only just keeping them, but you got to make them in the first place. Declare that you're going to do something and then deliver on that declaration. People start to really say, oh, wow, because not a lot of people these days, when you're in a recovery setting, are going to flat out say, I'm going to do this and actually deliver on it. We got too many things on our plate right now and a lot of excuses. But those that do deliver on the promises we keep or promises we make, and we keep those promises, man, people want to come alongside you. They want to find what you've got. People in recovery will come to you, and because they want what you have, they'll go to any length to get it, which is our principles tell us. But they'll want what you have because of you've declared that you're going forward and you are doing it. Tonight, what I want to do is impress upon you that it is okay to be 100. It's okay to be authentic. It's okay to be real. And as I've said before with Kevin Hart, it's okay to be as real as a dirty pair of sneakers. In fact, it's okay to be real like that, so long as you're not hurting somebody else. I consider myself a fairly authentic human being. I can be me everywhere. I just know how to adapt it to where I've got to go. And I do that because I've got a plan and I've got things I'm trying to accomplish. And I can't do that if I'm pushing people away or insulating myself in a way that says I can do this on my own, because I know darn well I can't. I know I can't. Hope this encourages you tonight. I said before, I'm course correcting the show to touch one. If you're the one and you're hearing what I'm saying and you consider yourself keeping it real or keeping it 100 or whatever, you're authentic, whatever it is, good for you for being that. But at the same time, question yourself. How far are you taking that? Are you isolating? Are you insulating yourself from the support you could get? Are you actually making progress? You don't have to answer it to me. You got to answer it to you. Is your current state of mind actually making progress? Do you feel like life is changing for you, or are you actually in Groundhog's Day, just some less substance affected way? If you feel like you're in Groundhog's Day, consider tempering this a little bit and creating an environment where you declare what you're going to do and you deliver every single time. You'll start to see people come alongside you a lot quicker than you think. It worked for me, and I sincerely believe it'll work for you too. Guys, till we speak again, make sure that you keep making progress. If this is an issue that's been a struggle for you, find ways to test yourself, find some accountability that would be willing to give you feedback to say, are you abrasive? Do people find you intimidating or unwelcoming? Those are usually feedback points that'll tell you people are not really stepping up to help you. And I can tell you for sure, in recovery, you need to have help. You need to have people that are come alongside you and create opportunities, because honestly, the world's going to look at you as an addict. We need to have people that are going to create opportunities for us so that we can step into new roles, we can stretch ourselves and show the people around there that we are legit and we do our work hard and we were worth the bet. And then when that circle of people sees us, now more opportunities open up. That's just how it works. It plays over and over again. Appreciate you guys joining the channel. Please like, subscribe. We've had some comments recently, some of them trolling some of my guests, which I think is obnoxious, but it is what it is. Thanks for those that commented positively. Actually, there's some people from Mitch Smiley's crew come over and speak positively. It doesn't surprise me. He's always putting out a positive message, and he's got a positive core group of fans. So that's pretty awesome. I love it. It's super encouraging, honestly. I love it. Who knew that one of the most encouraging people in my life, and it's not because not a lot of people are encouraging. I actually have a lot of encouraging people. This person just happens to be tremendously encouraging, and that's a man that spent 38 years in prison for murder and his fans. I mean, it's kind of crazy, but I love it. That's why we keep ourselves open to who's out there and see people for who they are, whoever's real, so to speak. And the real ones, we know each other, and we come alongside each other. So guys, stay productive. And next, before I see you again, please stay out of trouble.